Hello everybody and welcome back to Asagao Academy. When last we left off, we had Sach and Hana having a wonderful study session where she finally realized she has friends! And that was her dream, to have friends ever since her past school. She endured a lot of bullying and stuff. So now we're on a new day. I returned to my room that evening, awash in a happy peacefulness I hadn't felt in years. Okay, it's not a new day, it's later that day. For the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere, with people I could trust. For the first time, I had a sense of freedom. From here, I could be anything I wanted to be. I just had to discover my dream. How to do that? I pushed open the door, expecting to find Mai waiting to pour questions down my throat. But to my surprise, the room was empty. A book sat open on her desk, some pencils next to it. She must have gone to the bathroom or something. I glanced over the book on her desk, unable to hide my curiosity about what she was doing. My heart stopped. This book! I lifted one of the covers to peer at the spine. A History of Seduction. Oh my. This was one of the books that went missing at the library. What was Mai doing with it? That didn't make any sense. Someone must have brought it over and left it there. Oh, Hana. Oh, you're such a dimwit. There was no way Mai would... Hana, you're back! Ah! I jumped nearly a foot into the air and suddenly eye to eye with Mai. Then I crossed to my backpack and opened it, packing my notes away as if nothing happened.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, you okay? Mm-hmm. I nodded, my face on fire. Don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Hot damn, did you and Satch make out or something? I wish. Mai, of course not. We just studied well. Really? Is that all? She gave me the stink eye and I began to alphabetize my notes. Yep, totally. Aw, man. What's the point of living through you if you're not going to give me all the juicy details? Sorry to disappoint you, but I can't give details that don't exist. She crossed her arms grumpily. If you say so. As she turned away, her eyes fell across the book on her desk. She started, but smoothly crossed over to it, closed it, and put it in her desk drawer. Well, if you're not going to reveal your secrets, I'm going to bed. She sniffed haughtily. I should get ready too. I'll shower first. Aw, man. Quickly grabbed my shower things and towel, put on some flip-flops, and was out the door. Only then was I able to breathe normally. I should hurry or Maya will get even more suspicious. I didn't take long that night for Maya to fall asleep. As her snores filled the air, I quietly tiptoed out of bed and headed to her desk. She slept on the top bunk facing outwards. If I made any noise, she'd definitely wake up and see me going through her stuff. This was a huge breach of her privacy. But then, did she really deserve to keep her privacy if she was stealing library books and putting Satch in danger? I hovered over her desk. Suddenly I couldn't remember which drawer she put that book in. The obvious choice was the locked drawer, but if she locked it, then when I tried to open it, she'd probably hear it. Where should I look? I rifled through the regular drawers. I opened up a few of her regular desk drawers, rifling through what at first appeared to be piles of miscellaneous junk. Wait a second. I reached into her desk and pulled out the small frog eraser Hatch gave me just a few hours ago. I stared at it, dumbfounded, then whirled around to check my desk. Sure enough, my pencil was bare. I replaced the frog on my pencil and shoved it down to the very bottom of my backpack. Then I returned to Mai's drawers, going through things more carefully this time around. There was so much miscellaneous junk in there. Pencil toppers, pen caps, little things that one wouldn't miss or would just assume had dropped off somewhere. Satch's frog was a bit different because I would definitely be upset if I lost it, but at the very bottom of the sludge pile I found a small white board. I pulled it out. Hana, I owe you $10, May 11th. Oh, the day I paid for her dinner. She said she would pay me back. She even wrote it down. Maybe I was being too harsh. Mai gave a loud snore and I jumped, nearly dropping what I was holding. Heart pounding, I quickly returned it to its proper place, set things back about what I thought they were before I started messing around, and slowly crawled into bed. It didn't matter that she hadn't actually woken up, at least as far as I could tell. My heart pounded as though she came after me with a knife. It took me forever to fall asleep. The guilt I felt for snooping through Mai's things made me a terrible bedfellow. That morning, I got up nearly an hour before I usually did. I hardly got any sleep that night, so there was no point in laying in bed staring at the ceiling. That was what I told myself as I quickly dressed and grabbed my bag and ran outside. I told myself that, but I knew deep down it was a lie. I didn't want to talk to Mai. I didn't even want to look at her. I didn't know that I could not without giving something away. I didn't know which was worse, that I broke her trust, or that now I knew she was probably guilty. With a stack of books in her locker and the one on her desk, what other conclusion was I supposed to come to? How could she do this to Satch after all he did for us? I walked around campus kicking the early morning dew out of the grass. More importantly, what was I going to do about it? Should I tell Satch? Should I talk to Mai? Was it even any of my business anymore? Mai had kleptomania, an illness. I didn't know what that really meant and what she was struggling with. I could easily just decide she was a bad person, that she cared more about herself than about the fact that she was hurting Satch. But Mai had shown me over the past 2 months who she was as a person. I knew better than to assume she was doing this out of spite. I should give her the benefit of the doubt. At the very least, she deserved that from me.
Good morning.
Hana!
What's going on?
What are you doing here so early? I need to go buy some knitting needles, bye! I sprinted in the opposite direction, paying no heed to where I was going. Hana, wait! Satch's voice faded into the distance as I ran and ran and ran. By the time I stopped, I reached the field. I collapsed to the ground. I hate exercise. I glanced up in the sky. The sun was peeking over the tops of the trees in the distance. There was no way I was getting to class on time, not after running all the way here. Sighing, I made my way back to the school. There goes Hana Mizuno, smooth operator. Oops. Not the return menu thing. That's why Miss Shizuka paused as I, bedraggled, stepped into the classroom. I hesitated in the doorway, waiting to be interrogated, but to my surprise she just gave me a sad kind of smile and nodded to my seat. I quickly sat, marveling at the ease with which I escaped a burning at the stake. Something was definitely up with Miss Shizuka. But what? Thankfully, considering class was already in session, I only narrowly avoided trouble. Mai didn't question me about my whereabouts. I was able to finish class without locking eyes with her a single time. At lunch, I headed straight to the library and began pulling out books. I wanted facts, straight-up facts about what kleptomania was and how it affected people. Internet access was severely restricted at Asagao, as if we all had parents who thought the internet was filled with pedophiles, catfishes, and porn, so books were my only means of figuring things out. As I sifted through the thick books on the table, a sick feeling hit my stomach. Impulse control disorder, often accompanying depression or obsessive-compulsive disorder, a way of managing emotional stress or anxiety. Sufferers often do not wish to steal and will steal the same types of items repeatedly, often items of little value to the owner, such as pins, paper clips, erasers. Sufferers should learn the triggers and how to avoid the stress and anxiety that provokes these impulses. Feel intense guilt and shame, are often unable to tell friends or family, can have large periods of regression without theft, may give away stolen items to charity, friends, or family, or even return the items to their original place. Don't often use what they steal, as the thefts are not driven by necessity but by an emotional high. Feel as if they can't control their behavior, often having difficulty maintaining intimate relationships out of fear or shame. It didn't seem to be a disorder with much concrete information on it, as those with it often didn't tell their doctors they had it. As such, at least in the books I was reading, there was hardly anything about how to approach a loved one suffering from such a disorder. One thing stood out to me, though. Mai didn't necessarily want to be stealing things. She felt guilty. She felt ashamed. And thinking back to when she told me about her kleptomania, she was terrified. Absolutely terrified that I wouldn't accept her. That I would no longer want to be her friend. That I would vilify her. Yes, Satch was in trouble because of what Mai was doing, but that didn't make Mai a bad person. This was her fault. This was her responsibility, but someone could do bad things and still be a good person. And Mai... Feng Shui! Say Feng Shui! You call yourselves friends! I can't believe you, any of you! I thought you were better than this!
You're my best friend.
I just want you to think this through. I don't like seeing people take advantage of my friends. People I care about. Well, It's okay. We're all cowards sometimes. Mine was not a bad person. I returned to class without having eaten and found a seaweed-wrapped rice ball waiting for me. As I sat down, I looked around for who put it there. Mai grinned at me. Knowing what I did about her, how was I going to confront her? I didn't want to make her feel bad, but what she was doing wasn't right. Could I just go up to her and accuse her, or... Miss Shizuka came into the room, practically floating off her feet. Somebody got laid! Class, sometimes miracles do happen. Sometimes you find what you want in exactly the place you least expected at the time you finally decided to stop looking. Looks are important, but personality is what gives humans life, depth, meaning. Learn from my example. Please take 10 minutes to doodle and color in your notebooks. I'll be doing the same. What? Mai leaned over to me. She's definitely getting it. Thank you. Thank you. Me and Mai, besides the kleptomania thing, but me and Mai. Mai? No, she's right. Let her be. Yes. Oh, that's funny. Oh, funny. I opened my notebook and instead of doodling, started scrolling out different potential combos for Dumby Doom's revenge. It was only a week and some change until the tournament next Saturday. I spent so much time worrying about Satch and the books that I had hardly practiced at all. Now that I knew who did it, it was time to catch up. I spent half that time wondering what to do about Mai and half strategizing. Before I knew it, the bell rang. Miss Shizuka stood and closed her notebook, which was covered in red and pink hearts, stick figures holding hands and hugging, and Mrs. Shizuka... something. Ta-ta, my lovelies. She skipped out of the room, happy as a bunny with a carrot. Well, it's good to see that she's happy. Yeah, where were you this morning and at lunch? Meeting up with Satch again? No, of course not. We gathered our things and left the room. As we walked, my chest tensed. Mai was hypothesizing about Shizuka's newest relationship, wondering whether things could end badly again or whether she found a toad who finally treated her well. I glanced around us as we walked, hoping to avoid...
Hana.
Hey, Hana. I jumped. Satch somewhere behind us waved a hand in the air and called out my name. I grabbed Mai's hand and walked faster, skipping out onto the campus. Hana, aren't you going to talk to Satch? No. So, something's wrong? I'd rather not talk about it here. Mai grew quiet and her wrist felt limp in my hand. I led her into Primrose House and to our dorm. She watched me unlock the door, then stepped through as if on death row. I closed the door behind us and opened my mouth. I know. I don't know why I did it, and I'm sorry. I couldn't help it, and after I knew Satch was in trouble, I couldn't make myself give them back. I didn't want people to know I was the one who took them. I didn't want to think about what that was going to do to them and to us, so I'd just been sitting here and taking more. The more stressed I got, the more I took, and Mai, I know you didn't mean to do it. You're not a bad person. I wrapped an arm around her shoulders and patted her awkwardly. I never was good at comforting people. But if you don't do anything about it, Satch really will lose his job, and he needs that job to go to school. I know. If you tell him, I'm sure he won't get mad. I'm positive.
Seriously?
Satch is a really good person, just like you. He'll understand. Maya wiped her nose with her arm. If you say so. Will you go with me? I'm afraid to go alone. Of course I will. She sniffed and gave me a watery smile. Thanks, Hana. Want to clean up before we go? Definitely. I waited for Maya outside the girls' restroom, listening to her pump herself up and wash her face. I said Satch would take it well, and part of me believed that, but part of me was still apprehensive. Maybe it was a bit much to expect Satch to take it in stride, but he definitely wouldn't let this color his suspicions of us as the boots thieves. Definitely. I'm ready. It wasn't until we got outside of the library that Maya showed signs of wavering. She glanced at me and I nodded. There was nowhere for her to escape. Either she dealt with the problem and he got mad at her, or I did. She grit her teeth and gingerly pushed open the library door. She stepped through and I followed. To our surprise, Satch wasn't standing at the front desk. Nobody was. Is he off duty? Let's walk around to make sure. Together we walked through the library, our fearful faces drawing eyes from the many students hovering over their homework. They chose the library instead of the clubroom because they believed the requirement of quiet would help them actually get their strategies down and in place. We reached the back corner of the library and passed a student asleep on the chair, drool dribbling down his chin. Then we found them. The whole of Normal Boots gathered around a long table, talking quietly but furiously. But that's the same strategy you used last year. They'll be prepared for it. Exactly why it's good to use it again, but with a twist. I can't believe you didn't sign up for trivia this year. I get it, but that doesn't make it any easier on us. I'd like to branch out. It sounded like they were having a tournament strategy meeting. Without me. Mai glanced at me and I tried not to show it, but I was hurt. Of course they wouldn't want me around. Just because they were treating me like a friend again didn't mean they had to trust me as far as the tournament was concerned. Anyway, Satch is over there. But we're gonna have to confront Satch next time. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And as always, I'm TC Robson. Stay obsessed.